What's going on, everyone? This is Dustin Stelzer with another episode of Journey to Master. This episode, we're going to talk about working slow, and I had somebody send me a message through Instagram, and they were telling me, like, hey, I've been apprentice for a little while now, and I feel like I can't keep up, or I feel like everybody else outpaces me, and I'm trying constantly to increase my speed and get more efficient, but I don't know what to do. I feel like I just work slower. I don't feel like I do bad work, but I don't know what to do to increase my speed. So I brought Colton in, my apprentice, to talk about the issue.
Yeah, man, when you told me that somebody sent you that message, I instantly related to it because I've been given a lot of shit over the years about working slower than everybody else. And when I first started, I had heard it, like, people had said it to me a few different times, and I thought they were just being an asshole. And then I really started to look back or watch it as I was working, and I was. Like, it would take me a little bit longer to do almost everything than would everybody else. And it really fucked with me for a little while. And then I actually had a guy watch me while I at a different company that I worked at. Just like, take 30 minutes out of the day and just watch me do a couple of things and tell me where I'm losing my time, because there has to be a reason why I'm working slower than everybody else. And so 30 minutes go by and we talked about it, and he's like, you're not fucking off. You're not wasting time doing anything. You just don't. I guess what's the way he worded it?
You have like a slower. You move slower.
I'm meticulous.
Yeah.
I'm meticulous. I like to. Like staples going down a wall, I like to make them look fucking beautiful. I like them to come straight to the corner, down, and then leave a nice loop into a box or whatever I may be doing. I want it to look good when I walk away from it. And there are a few things that he would tell me, like things that I was wasting my time. Like I would get to a top of the line, like, oh fuck, I forgot my hammer down there, and I'd have to go down there and get that. And there are a few other instances in there that he gave me examples of, but really all it is that I was just, when I step away from what I'm doing, I want it to look good. So if it takes me an additional 15, 20 minutes, whatever it may be, I'm going to take it, because I want to turn around when I crawl off my ladder, get up off whatever I'm doing, look at it and be like, fuck yeah, that looks good. And if that takes me an additional 20 minutes, fuck it. And fuck everybody who gives you shit about taking your time when you do work. It shouldn't, there's a difference between fucking around while you're doing work, like getting on your phone or doing things that are just wasting time, not paying attention. But if you're constantly working while you're taking too long, then don't let anybody give you shit about it. That's just how I feel about it.
Okay, so there's two schools of thought on this topic. I can already hear the keyboard warriors going off in the comments right now.
I'll talk shit back all day.
So they're like, as an owner of a company, efficiency is massively important. You want to get the most amount of work done at the highest quality you can in the smallest time for the cheapest cost. So what you really, ultimately perfect picture is if every guy working for you does phenomenal work in seconds, because then you're going to make the most amount of money. If you have guys that are meticulous and slow and take their time on every single job, you're going to lose a lot of money. So there are people out there that are journeymen, they're masters, that are going to say, well, I would fire you, or I wouldn't keep you around if you take time. I had somebody leave a comment in the pipe bending video that I did on Electrician U on my other channel. And they're like, I would have fired this guy for spending the time making all of his pipe work look really good. And it's like, well, fuck you. I mean, that's not a company I want to work for. I don't want to work for somebody that's just like, you gotta go, you gotta work fast. Like, aesthetics don't matter,
Yes, they do.
Well, they do and they don't. There's sometimes, if you're going to do a bunch of pipe work that's going to get covered up by sheetrock, it really doesn't matter. You got to do the best you can in the time that you can.
Okay, but that when you walk into a building, a house, that all the Romexes run, and you see fucking twists and bends, it's going to get covered up with sheetrock, but it looks like shit. And you know that other things in that job are not going to be done right because they didn't take their time with things.
There's a likelihood, yeah. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, there's some guys that just, I've seen guys that are 30 years in that do way worse looking work than we do, but they fly through it and there's no mistakes. It's rare, but guys develop that.
I would say that's extremely rare.
It is.
Because there are some people that work with us who do things very quickly, and then the punch list and going back and fixing all the problems takes months.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's if you can achieve speed and accuracy at the same time, like that's where the sweet spot is.
Sweet ticket. But
there's guys that work really, really slow, and they only work slow and meticulous. Everything they do looks beautiful. There's guys that only work fast. Half the time there's lots of mistakes and fuck-ups, and they waste more time and material because they didn't think ahead of things. But I'm like, without getting too much like down those two paths, I would say that the point of you apprenticing is for you to start gaining confidence with your tools, confidence with the materials that we install, and that usually takes a year just for you to get used to how to efficiently strip wire, how like to know what couplings go with what pipe, and to be watching the guys around you working. You're a helper, you're an apprentice, so you're there to like grab things and make sure that they've got everything that they need. So the first year is really like, you're not expected to be fast. You're just expected to soak a lot of stuff up. Your second year is more like, okay, I've got this basic knowledge. Now let's try to twist down and make it a little bit faster. Let's see if I can start doing things without having to be told 17 times. You know, I'm going to be relied upon more to kind of know what's going on. And then by your third year, you should be able to really just hammer down and not have to be told what to do. You should be able to go look at plans, figure out what to do, check with your journeyman, be like, hey, you want me to do this or this? But you should kind of start having that attitude of being independent and not having to wait to be told something. By your fourth year, you should be polished. At this point, you should be able to be tested and like put on a job, running things, probably making all kinds of mistakes, but having somebody there to make sure that you're not fucking up too much, because then you're going to go take your test and you're going to get your license and you're going to be trusted to be on your own. So wherever you're at in your apprenticeship, kind of know that that's like what's expected of you. Not everywhere. Some companies, like, you got apprentices that are 9-year apprentices and they're laborers and that's all they want to do. I feel like we kind of got off topic, but the whole, I guess what I'm trying to say about speed is, with you, I know that you're never fucking off. I know that you're always trying to do very, very good work. There's times where when I look at you, I think that your general pace for how you work is slow. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that you take your time. You like everything that you do to come out well. You don't want to turn around and have something half-assed. With me, I know that there's kind of a time and place, and I have the ability to switch gears. And I think that's just something that you learn over time. Yeah. I think in another couple of years you'll realize, today, I think that job that we were on, once we got back from lunch, I realized we had 4 stops that we took, and we took lunch, so we took way too long to get back to the job. But when I got on that job, I fucking kicked into gear, man. I was almost running between thing and thing, and I was jumping down and I was doing this and doing that and measuring, and my speed doubled. I just moved faster. It wasn't like I was inaccurate. Everything that I did, when I had to be precise, I took my time, but it was okay, now that this is done, boom, I'm on to the next thing, and I grab every single thing that I need in one load and go over to the next thing, and it's I just jump into this hyper efficient mode where
that right there, though, that's something that comes with time.
Exactly.
Being able to grab everything that you need. Something that you've been telling me for a long time is build it in your brain, build it in your mind before you start. That way you know every little thing that you need along the way. And I'm not there yet. And it's I'm close, but I'll still forget a couple of things along the way, and I'll have to go back and continue to grab stuff, and that's where I feel like I lose a lot of time.
Yeah, that's one thing that I learned from doing service work at a prior company that I worked for. One thing they said always is build it in your mind. Every job, doesn't matter if you're troubleshooting, doesn't matter if you were going to build something, put in new lights, do a bunch of pipe work. If you spend a little bit of time, say you spend 30 minutes at the beginning of a job going around and looking at every single thing that you're about to do, writing down lists of everything that you're going to need, or just making mental notes, be okay, for me to do this, say I've got to put pipe out of this panel, and I'm going to come over here and I need to have this junction box here. I'm going to need all of my pipe, every coupling, every strap, all the screws that I need to do it. I'm going to need these tools to do it. I need my bender. I need all the wire, and start grabbing every single thing that you need and making sure that you have it all, because a lot of times there's a huge amount of time wasted when you're going up ladders, coming up and down because you forgot things, or you grab one thing, do one thing, come back down, go up, do one thing, come back down, and you keep doing that over and over. It wastes a lot of time. if you have everything that you need when you're about to start something, it's like right behind you. You're able to work efficiently. But a lot of guys forget stuff in their truck a lot. And I'm guilty of it too. There'll be jobs where it's like I'll grab 4 things and I'll be like, cool, I think I've got this, 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 and this. And I'll walk over there and get started and it's like, son of a bitch, I forgot the tool that I needed, and then you got to run back. And if you count up the amount of times that you run back and forth to your truck, you probably burn an hour of an 8-hour day just like not thinking of stuff. So that's an hour right there of stuff that you could have done had you taken maybe 15 minutes to make sure everything was there for you. So that's kind of what he's talking about. So I do think that is a huge issue, is the planning and knowing, like,
a lot of time can be wasted.
Not just jumping into something and starting and trying to get started and starting to work fast, but stepping back for a second and really thinking about everything thoroughly, planning it out, and then executing. The other thing that I notice is a huge thing. There's 2 different kinds of people, right? There's like thinkers and there's doers.
There's probably more than 2,
winners,
but
and there's losers.
Fuck you.
And there's well, anyway, so there's people that I think just have a general pace in life where they walk. Like when you watch me walk from a building to another building, I walk with a purpose. That's just something about me. And I've noticed there's people around me that do that. And then I look at other people and they walk slow as fuck in between everything that they do. It doesn't matter if they're getting out of their car, if they're like putting their tools on. Their general pace of like existence, of moving, of like...
If we're going to talk about pace of existence, can we talk about the way you eat? Just for like a split second.
I eat like...
We will sit down. I'll get my food first. And we will sit down, and I won't even start eating. I just want to watch him. I literally will take like a bite as I'm watching the show. Have you ever seen Major Payne? You ever seen that dude just like sit down and like they put it in fast forward, just like watch him just scarf food in his face? That's you.
I know, man. It's like I'm sitting down for a set amount of time to accomplish a mission.
It's not a mission. It's fucking lunch, man.
That shit in this body so I can fucking go, man. Not waste any goddamn time. That's your. You want to know what your problem is? Let me tell you what your problem.
Like, please.
No, dude, like today I ate 2 half-pound fucking.
I wasn't even going to bring this up. I wasn't. I thought about it.
And I finished all of it. He got his food
first.
10 minutes before I got my food, and I cleared my entire motherfucking plate before he even finished his first burger. So that's what I mean, though. Is like there are just some people that have a fast pace about them, and there are some people that don't. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just 2 different kinds of people. But if you're fucking off, if you're like sitting on your phone and you're on your ladder, and then when somebody walks by, you're like, oh, I gotta get back to work.
Yeah.
Or, like you
like,
just...
Okay, so like real quick, on that note, there are 2 kinds of working slow, right? You've got what you're just talking about. You're fucking around, like on your phone, bullshitting, not paying attention.
To be lazy. Like
not trying to be lazy, but just they don't give a shit.
You're not there.
Yeah.
You're not like fucking there.
I give a shit. And I know that sometimes I take too long with doing what I'm doing. And some days it'll really fuck with me, and I'll be like, you know what, today I'm going to fly through some shit. And I find that when I try to fly through shit, it takes me twice as long to do anything because I fuck up so much, dude. Pulling wire in houses, I'll pull a wire across the house and I'll turn around and I basket weave like 3 times. I'll just miss a chase and like go underneath where the sheetrock would be and pull it back up. And you got to pull the whole fucking thing out and do it again.
Yeah.
Or
you're trying to be...
or you'll strip too much wire out and you'll leave a ground touching the neutral wire in a box or something, and when you push it back in, and it's going to fucking pop every time it turns on. And then you've got troubleshooting things. You have to go back, and it's going to cost the time it took me to do it and then pull it all back out and do it again, and then somebody having to come back after me when they turn the power on to come fix my problem. I know that they're, like you said, they're different kinds of people. People who are good at working fast, and people like... With me, I guess it's my kind of people. If I try to work too fast, I will fuck everything up. And I do think that I'll get faster in time. But for right now, like a year or 2, like the guy that said it in the comment, you're 2 years in, man. Take all the time in the world that you need. Like, don't fuck off. But like, if you need that much time to do what you're doing, take it. And turn around, look at it, and know it's going to work, and it looks good, and you're happy with it. I just don't see any problem with that.
I don't agree 100%. I think...
I mean, it depends on the task.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong.
I think that there's some people need to have some heat twisted on them to pick it up a little bit, because like when you very first started out, you would sit down on your ass, get in front of a plug, cross your legs, have your tools sitting over there, and you'd get comfortable and put a plug in.
Yeah.
And I remember the guy we worked for was like, what the fuck is he doing right now? His ass is gone if you don't fucking tell him to get off of his ass, get on, like, get up. You need to do these in like 3 minutes apiece. And so that's what I'm talking about. Like, evaluate how you work.
Okay. All right.
Are you resting while you're working? Like, do you sit on a little bucket and get, and try to do things at your own pace and like have a nice relaxing day?
Dude,
or do you try to like push and push and push to get things done?
I forgot about that. But I do remember that now.
But you're not like that anymore.
Well, yeah,
like, every time I look
so
at you, you're busting ass. I
didn't know that's how he felt at the time. But I remember exactly where I was sitting when that happened.
I do too.
You mean, and I remember him coming in that room and just kind of looking at me and turning around and walking right the fuck out. Like, he was mad, but I didn't know why. I had no idea. And then, but it's times have changed. Like, we had a guy that just started working for us a while back, and he was doing the same shit, and I jumped his ass for it, sitting down to put a plug in. I was like, what are you doing, man? I get you're 6'5". I don't care. Get on a knee and put the plug in. Like, don't do that. It's funny.
So I guess I can't really get more specific than that. It's just that you want to always take pride in your work. That's a huge, huge thing. But constantly think about like, okay, how can I do this faster without like jumping like a fucking horse and just fucking everything up? Like, how can I make myself work more efficient? And if everybody around you is working circles around you, watch what they're doing and watch how they're doing it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so another reason that I feel like I work slowly is just the personal thing, is that I feel like I second guess myself a lot. I'll sit back and I'll look at something a few times and I'll come up with what is probably the correct answer in my head, like the right way to do something. And I was like, well, what about this? Or like, what if I tried that instead? And I just don't like to be wrong. I don't like to get halfway through something and like realize that, fuck, there was a way faster way to do that. And like, what do you think? Like, what's a good way to get either past that or like, I don't know, a way to improve speed, like get over that fear?
Well, dude, this is another thing where I think there's just two kind of people out there. And you can develop it, but it's like you really got to try hard. Like me, I'm a professional decider. Like that we know. Yeah. I make bad decisions. Not saying I decide good things all the time, but I don't really sit around and think a lot and let thinking and overthinking things get in my way. I'm just like, okay, I want to do this. How am I going to do it? Boom. And I just fucking choose. And then I'll find out like, okay, that was probably bad. Let me try this over here. Boom. And I just start doing. And so enough of doing that over a long enough period of time, it's like, okay, I've done enough things right and wrong to know this is the best way that I know how to do it. And I know other people like that as well. Like, that's something you and I talk about frequently, just in life. It's, not just electrical, but it's like at a certain point you have to just start doing it one way and just fucking decide and be okay in your mind with whatever the outcome is. This is what it's going to be. And some journeyman's probably going to come behind me and be like, why the fuck did you do it like that? Why not do it like this? But then you learn. But at least you practiced making a decision and sticking to it and executing it.
Yeah, I guess. But every situation is different in my mind. And I've had enough guys come behind me and be like, why the fuck did you do that? And that is something else why I hear that in my head when I'm deciding to do something. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, fuck, like I don't want to choose wrong. And so, and I'll take fucking too long. And not even doing the work, but just sitting there like, like, fuck, I don't want to choose
Yeah, sometimes
wrong.
I'll give you something to do, and I'll be like, all right, man, I just want you to do this.
Go.
I'll just walk away. Because I know that you need practice in that, but I will look at you and be like,
why did you do
holy
that?
Fuck, why are you... Like, I've done 37 things. You haven't even started.
That is a slight exaggeration.
It is.
Please.
But it's that thing where, like, I think you just need to do it the way you know how to do it.
Yeah.
And then I'll come behind you and be like, okay, cool. Next time, let's try it like this. And I don't know, maybe I'm like an asshole, and so you're afraid to like.
It's not you. Because you could tell me like, wow, that looks like shit. Like, oh hey, well, fuck you.
Yeah,
like we have a good enough relationship. It's No, I was gonna say something really shitty. I was like, it's people that I respect.
But dude, it's the same thing with me. So like, there's ways that I will do things, and it's because I've learned, okay, out of all the ways that I have just fucked these things up, this is the best way that I know how to do it. And so somebody that's like 20, 30 years my senior will come behind me and like, hey, why didn't you just do this? And it's like, holy shit. Where were you 30 minutes ago when I started? You know, so like, it's time, dude. The more time that you get doing it, the more you'll feel confident. But I think that you're at the point right now where I need to start stepping back and letting you run things, because I think that will just, it'll put enough pressure on you and enough anxiety on you that you just have to come up with a solution, or else we're fucked.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what did it for me, is like our boss back when I was, you know, I got my residential wireman's license. Like the day I got that fucking license, I was no longer a helper riding with somebody else. I was my own dude, and I had a fucking helper. And it was like, whew, okay, now I have the plan, and everything comes down to me. And it's like, don't forget, give me the materials by, you know, like 1 o'clock, so I can make sure I can get all the materials. Keep a list of every question that you have. Here's the plan. Like, figure out this, figure out that. I don't know the answers for it. And it's just like, okay, this is overwhelming as fuck. But like being thrown into that, it's like, okay, you find your groove with doing that.
See, and like you did, right? Well, I feel like this is like the topic of this conversation, but there's two different kinds of people. I got a little small taste of that with Livewire, and I had some moments where I was like, shit my pants. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing right now. And I probably did, but like that anxiety got so high to where it just like, it fucked with me, and I didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
I got better throughout time, and I've gotten better with a lot of different things, but second guessing myself. But I mean, it still happens all the time.
Yeah, I think where we're at right now, I need to start. The whole point of like where I am and why I want you with me every day is I want to start handing things over to you and still being there.
Yeah.
So when shit goes wrong, I can step in.
Yeah.
Or at least just like being in the boat, like throwing you out of the boat, letting you swim, but being right there. So if you start fucking drowning, I got you. But you need to feel that pressure. That pressure is what sets you to the next level. It's what allows you to learn what second gear is all about.
Yeah. And going back to that, with Livewire, like I got thrown in that situation quite a few times, and I think like it overwhelmed me. It scared me a lot. But
you should not have been running jobs at the point that you were at.
But
that was,
if we go back and look at it, there's only one that got blown up in my face. The rest of them may have taken a little bit longer than they should have, but it was all done, and it got done right.
It was.
There was that one, and I will own that one. But
yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is, like, with Livewire, the reason I had you going out and doing things on your own as a third-year apprentice was out of just necessity. Yeah. I kept us way too busy. I learned that mistake ahead of time. But what we should have done is, for the first year, it should have just been you and me, and we only take the work that we can handle, and anything else, fuck off. We just don't accept that work. And I think that would have gotten us doing things just repetitively over and over, so you would have just known how to do things, and I could have worked you into leading things while babysitting you, and I just could have taken more care and time to it. But from the second we started, it was like, dude, I need you to go over here and fucking change this photo cell out. And you're like, okay, how do photo cell work? Tell me when you get there, I'll tell you, know. So it was like too fast. So again, back to the pace thing, it's like even training people, you have to, if you have somebody that's jumping your ass all the time, you're too slow, you need to be faster, that's one type of company. There are companies out there that exists that take everything slow because they understand the importance of development, going slow, being safe, doing things the right way. There's companies that will bid 3 times higher for jobs than anyone else, and they'll still get the work because everyone knows them. They have a reputation of doing things quality, safety, and it's like watching them work, it's like, wow, these guys are not struggling. They're not busting ass, but they're getting so much done. They're just so efficient. So anybody that says, like, oh, I would fire you because you're just too slow, or like, that's just one kind of company. There are companies out there that specifically value guys working slow, taking their time, making sure things are done right. So there's not one way to do this. This whole working slow thing, this is kind of just a joke. it's to say that this dude's been doing this for 4 years. He's a really good apprentice. He's one of the best apprentices that we have. I think he's the next in line for being a licensed guy. And yeah, like he works slower than most of the people at our company, but I can also rely on you more than most of the people in the company.
Yeah.
It's like, I know if I give you something to do, I can give you 3 or 4 things to do and say, by the end of the day, I need all this shit done. And without worrying about how fast you're doing each one of them, I know that if I give you a set amount of things to finish in a certain amount of time, you fucking knock it out of the park. So it doesn't matter if you feel like I'm a super leader type and I'm a super fast type or anything like that. Like, you kind of have to find your role. But my advice is, if you always do your best work every fucking day and you're proud of what you do every day, everything else will fall in line. Like, you've gained the respect of everybody at our company. Nobody talks about you or says your name and says, like, Jesus Christ, that guy fucks up all the time, or Jesus Christ, that guy's so slow. People just they're like, it's Colton. I can give this to Colton.
Yeah.
Hey, Colton, where's Colton at? I need Colton over here. I don't want this guy. I want Colton. Because you can be dependent on. So that's far more important than speed. Like, just figuring out who you are, how you work, and doing that consistently through your whole career is far, far more important.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. One thing that I think is important for apprentices that, if you're second year, first, really at any point during your apprenticeship, don't be afraid to ask, how should I do this?
Yeah.
Because with Colton, sometimes he will get into that mode that he talked about earlier, where it's like, I'll give him a task and he wants to be known as like, I can do this, I want to show him I can do this. So he'll sit and think forever and ever, and instead of just being like, all right, dude, what's the best way? Or just coming up to me and saying, this is how I think that I should do it, is there a better way? And then me being like, yeah, don't do that because this, and this, try to do this instead. Boom. Answer solved, and we're on our way for the rest of the day, and the job is going to get done. But if you spend too much time thinking, you're going to start second guessing yourself, and then you're going to have this like kind of anxiety built up, like, fuck, if I make this decision or if I make this decision, it's going to be wrong. So if you get to that point, that just means that there's a deficiency in where you're at. It just means that where you're at right now, this task, you're not quite ready to make that decision yet, or you're not where you are in your apprenticeship. It's like you just need a little bit more experience in this area for you to be confident in making that decision, because it's just a confidence thing. It's if you do things confidently throughout the day nonstop, and you're just like always good at doing everything, but you run across this one thing and you're just like, okay, this makes me anxious, like, fuck, I don't want to fuck this up, I don't know what I'm doing. It just means that you lack confidence in that one area. So that means that that's the area you need to focus on working on. So
can I challenge a question, or I don't know if you want to talk about
challenge a question?
Ooh.
No, I mean,
Go
just
for it.
talking about it, I guess, from your perspective and acknowledging how he is and his personality and how he works, and just like, I mean, I don't know if that's even applicable in this video, but kind of like seeing who they are, seeing how they're wired, how they work, being a good boss, and kind of
that's
being
a really
like
fucking good point.
from the other end of that.
And you're like, to your credit, you know how I work, and you know, like you said earlier, which is a big part of it, you know that I'm not just fucking around, like I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
I never asked you to sit and watch me work for an hour, and what am I doing? Like, where am I losing my time?
I also don't get it. I don't think anybody gets onto you. Or
No.
It's never mentioned that you're too slow.
But I think it might be.
That I get, I'll say something and be like, Jesus Christ, you're still doing that? And it's always like goofing around.
I know you're joking,
but I wouldn't
there's
say
exactly
if it wasn't true.
Exactly.
But I'm not a dick to you, because I know that that's not going to do anything but make you more flustered and make you fuck up even more.
Yeah.
But I think for a teacher to a student, for a critique, I guess, fuck, what was the last thing you said?
Just more of encouragement to say other masters who are working with apprentices, and just more so learning not just how they work but who they are, and kind of guiding them along that path based off of really their personality. Because I see how you acknowledge how he is, so you teach him based on that.
Yeah. Okay, that's a really good point. I feel like I'm very rare in that regard as far as a teacher. One thing that I've kind of learned about myself through doing this and through doing videos and talking to thousands of people is I just love fucking teaching. I mean, we could be playing fucking ping pong or billiards or like NASCAR. Yeah, like it doesn't matter. Like I love teaching. I love getting to the point of mastery of something and then trying to like vomit everything that I know, and I don't know everything. There's so many things in this trade alone that I have no fucking clue about, and I acknowledge that, but I like to pass on what I do know because I know that my life has changed because of what I do know. So I think that it might be a little unfair for you listening to me and talking about how I am with Colton, because the guys that you work under may not be like this at all. Yeah. There's people that work at our company that are not like me at all. They teach very gruffly, and they're going to be on your ass constantly because the method that they know and the method that they think works best is to turn up the heat constantly. Just keep turning up the heat, keep being an asshole, because eventually it'll sift itself out and there'll be this like gold nugget at the bottom of somebody that is so fearful that they work really fast and diligent. That's their way of teaching. That's just not my way of teaching. So I like to figure out who a person is and like really crack into a person. I don't like having apprentices that just show up and I don't talk to them at all. I had one apprentice that for a solid month, this dude and I didn't say a fucking thing. He just came up to me, he's like, what else you gotta do? And I said, go do this, go do this. And finally I looked at him and I was like, there's a person in there. So
I'm gonna make you talk today.
I'm gonna make you fucking talk, man. So I brought him to lunch. I was like, hey, we're going to lunch together, jump in my truck. And we went, and I think I bought him lunch. I don't even remember if I did that or not. But I just sat and I said, all right, tell me about yourself. And he was just like, he was the quiet type. And I didn't realize that. I thought he just didn't want to talk to me. And he probably thought I didn't want to fucking deal with him at all. But I started like just cracking jokes and like forcing questions out of him. I had to figure out who he was as a person. And once I figured out who he was, like we started laughing. We talked about all kinds of crazy shit. We clicked on a level. I had figured out who this person was. So now anything I told him, it was like stream of consciousness. He listened to everything that I said. He heeded things and he wanted to work harder because we had developed this kind of connection or this way between us. But if you have somebody that you're working under that just seems to not give a fuck about you, I don't know what to say about that. I'm sorry. That's just their way. It's just not the way that I do things. Like Colton, I know what your strengths are. I know what your weaknesses are. I have a benefit of knowing you for 10 years now as well. I've worked with you in other environments, but also like probably 3/4 of my career, like half of my career in this. So I've seen you like go from fucking nightmare dumbass to like being a very dependable person that a lot of people that we work with count on. So I think it's a really good idea to like figure out, for you that are teachers, figure out who your person is. If you actually care about teaching, figure out the person and teach to that. I know that we're all taught in the public school system that like everybody sits in rows and we all like raise our hand and we do everything the same. We're like that Pink Floyd video where we're stamped through a fucking machine and everybody's treated the same way. But like me, when I was a kid, I was an artist. I was a right-brain thinker. I played music. Like I didn't think linear and logical and like I dreamed about like just weird fucking spaceships and shit. Like I was a different kind of kid and I was a very locked inside of myself kind of person. I didn't talk a lot. I was left alone a lot in my life, and so I didn't fit into kind of like the mold of everybody else in school, like in playgrounds, like I would kind of sit back and everybody else was playing. Plus we moved a lot, like every couple of years I was just somewhere else. And so there was a teacher that I had in high school one time that I just noticed, it's like she fucking cares about every single one of us in here. If any of us have a problem, like she will bend over backwards because she's not just here to collect a check. Like she fucking cares. And I think that as a teacher, man, like if you're a journeyman, if you're a master and you have an apprentice under you, it's your job, it's your responsibility to give a fuck about them, because it's going to help you out in the long run if you care about them. It's going to make them better at their job. You're going to be making their life either better or worse every fucking day that you're around them. So unless you're just like some egotistical prick that doesn't fucking care and you just want to collect a paycheck, but you happen to have some dickhead that has to sit right seat with you every day, like fuck those guys. You'll know if you're working for one of them. And dude, I'm sorry. There's other companies out there. There's other guys. You can ask your boss, try to get put on a different truck. But there are guys out there that care. And when you get under one of those, game changer, man. it's a huge game changer.
Yeah, stick with them, dude, and ask them questions out the wazoo, because if they really truly care about what you want to know, dude, they'll sit and talk to you for hours and hours on anything.
They're usually the ones that are super passionate about the shit that you're asking about. Well, it's like that's what makes it good too.
Yeah, dude. It's like I say it again. There's two different kinds of people. This is the title of this video. There's two different kinds of people.
There's people that smoke weed, people that judge people that smoke weed.
No, you got the people who don't give a shit, and you've got the passionate people. People who are passionate about the things that they're doing will also be passionate about teaching you the things that they like to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I think that if you can find a teacher, if you can find an electrician that like really seems to fucking love what they do, you're gonna have a much better time working under them. If you go to work every day with somebody that seems to fucking hate this, you're gonna hate it very, very quickly. So I know we need to wrap this up. This has probably been all over the goddamn place, but that's
it's been fun.
This is just a joke. I mean, really,
it's not. He's an asshole. Dude, okay. If I can take this to wrap up. For those of you who feel like you work slowly, try to find where you're losing your time. Like we've talked about, like the biggest reasons I feel like where you can lose your time. If it's, like fucking around on your phone, if it's, you don't think about all the things that you're going to need before you start them. I mean, do what I did. Ask the guy you're working with to legitimately take 30 minutes out of the day to just watch you do shit and try to figure out where you're losing your time. It's not the worst thing in the world to work slowly if you're staying on task. So don't let it deter you or make you want to get out of the trade. Just figure out how to improve it. And if you're taking too much time doing things at first, like 2 years in, fuck them. It's okay. You don't need to be the speediest guy on the team. As long as you can turn away from what you're doing, look at it, and know that it's going to work, and you think that it works well, that's fine. And then over the years, just, find where you're losing your time and just try to get a little bit faster.
Yeah, you'll gain a lot of speed once you gain confidence.
Yeah.
And it's with experience. And there's a reason that it's 4 years, some places it's 5 years, to apprentice to be an electrician, because there's so much to know. I mean, in 2 years, you may do such drastically different stuff all the time that at the end of the 2 years, you feel like, God, I don't know anything really, really well. I feel like I know a lot of things. Or you'll work for a company that like all you do is the same shit over and over, but it takes time. You will eventually build that speed. You may not eventually be as fast as the other people around you, but again, that's okay.
It's okay.
It's really okay as long as you're known for being like doing the best work that you can do, not fuck around, always be busy, always be seen working. And that's what with you. Yeah. It's like nobody questions. Everybody knows you kind of have a slower pace, but we also know that anytime we look at you, you're always working. And people may come up and talk to you and try to joke around with you, but you're not the one that stops. You always keep tools in your hand, and you'll be like, ha, 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 and you keep working because you know you're there to get paid. Yeah. There are people that just fuck off, and they take a lot of breaks, and that's not who you are.
Yeah.
So
never get complacent. Never, if you're one of the guys who you feel like you work too slow, don't get complacent in that. Find where you can improve yourself, and just as long as you're making a stride to get there every day, then just take your time. And take your time getting to where you need to be. It's not going to happen overnight. Trust me, dude. I've been doing this for 4 years, and I still feel like I know that I'm a little bit slower than everybody else, but I'm not near as slow as I was at year 2.
Yeah.
You just have to keep moving. You have to keep taking that next step and trying to get a little bit better each and every day.
All right, and then to wrap this up, for you teachers out there that might be watching this, I think it's on you to control the tasks that you're giving somebody. If you're going to give somebody something and expect them to do it fast, you need to know what their skill level is at something to have proper expectations for them. If you're giving them something and you're like, fuck, you're just so slow, like, why are you slow at this? Well, you probably gave them something that was outside of the bounds of their knowledge. And there's a time and a place to start challenging somebody and start pushing somebody, but you really need to think about who this person is, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. And if speed is of the essence, don't give them shit that it's going to really challenge them and they're going to be slow at. Give them things that you know that they can execute rather quickly. And then on the next job, when it's time to teach and you have a little bit of time to slow down, like that's the time to do it. But there's a lot on you as a teacher that you need to think about with who you're teaching and figure out what their strengths, what their weaknesses are, and understand that like there are just slow people out there, man. Not everyone is an ass buster. Not everybody has 2 or 3 gears where they can just adjust and like.
Or maybe they haven't learned those gears yet. Help them learn them.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place to take your time, and there's also a time and place where you need to fucking bust ass.
You kick it in fucking gear.
Yeah.
You gotta go, motherfucker.
And then people in my position recognize those times. You can recognize those times.
That's important.
Dude. Yeah.
Sometimes y'all don't recognize.
Dude, it's not it's never 100-0, dude. It's, there's always a balance in there. Learn how to recognize when it's time to bust ass and know when it's okay to be like, I really don't know how to do this well. Let me just kind of sit back and figure out how I want this to look when I'm done.
Yeah, so another thing is what he just said, paying attention. What?
Time.
Like 16 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. This is going to close it.
Okay.
So another thing with what he just said is observe the people around you. If you see everybody around you working at the normal pace that they work at, then that's the pace that you should probably be working at. If you see everybody around you working way faster and everybody kind of looks stressed out and they're grabbing materials fast and they're like, it kind of looks a little bit frenzied, that means you need to get your fucking ass in gear.
Yeah, man.
And if you don't think you can complete a task faster, at least try to help everybody else out around you so that it makes their jobs faster. That's the prime time to ask, dude, I'm not the fastest of people, but I notice y'all are busting ass right now. What do you want me to do to like help make all this faster? Do you want me just to start cleaning shit up? Like, just be aware of the environment you're around and watch other people's pace. That's a huge thing that'll help you if you are trying to increase your speed. So, all that to say,
I work slow.
and I work fast and slow. There's a time and a place for it. But thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you have any comments, questions below. By the way, got some t-shirts. If you guys want to wear some t-shirts, on the little video thing below, there's some t-shirts.
I've never got to do that before. It's right down here.
No, it's actually up there, though.
No, I want it down here.
Are you sure it's not? I can kind of put it where
I know that, so you're going to fucking make me look stupid.
I know. Whatever you just said, I'm going to do the opposite. No, the t-shirts are down below for sure. Like, that's the only place. There's Electrician U shirts. There's Journey Master shirts. There's a little crazy fish that you have at the end of some of these videos. I've got more. I have a hoodie coming, like a Journey Master hoodie. Can't wait. Sizes seem to be like a little small. I haven't washed these yet, so I have a feeling like every one of them is going to be like super fucking small on me. So I'll let you guys know. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for giving a shit about all these videos, and I will see you in the next episode.
Deuce.